The horizon is a pale wound of gold stretched over the ice. Wind whispers across the frozen expanse, carrying the groans of shifting flows, the Arctic breathing in its ancient rhythm. Beneath that glacial surface, life moves in silence. The shimmer of fish, the slow pulse of the sea, and the distant song of whales echoing through the dark. A small research vessel cuts through the ice, its hull creaking like a living thing. On deck, Dr. Lena Hartfield stands against the railing, her breath turning to mist. She listens, beyond the wind, beyond the hum of the engines, for something deeper. April 7th, northern Baffin Bay. Migration patterns are delayed. The whales are late. Something has disturbed them. The captain joins her, a mug of coffee steaming in his hand. He jokes about ghosts in the water, but Lena only half smiles. She hears something he doesn't, a sound too faint to explain, too sad to ignore. A cry that rises from the deep and vanishes beneath the ice. Far below, the world is blue and endless. A beluga whale glides through the stillness, her skin pale as snowlight. But around her, cold metal bars twist like a nightmare. She presses her head against the steel, scraping skin, releasing a stream of bubbles that drift upward like tiny prayers. Her two calves circle in the distance. Their calls faint and frantic, but the ice between them is thick. She cannot reach them. She cannot leave. Above on the ship, the crew hears the echo again. One of them, Noah, an Inuit diver born to these waters, knows that sound. He says it's not the wind, not the ice, but a cry for help. A mother calling out in pain. Lena studies the sonar screen. A shadow takes shape below the ice. Large, curved, metallic. Not natural. Not right. Her heart sinks as the image sharpens. A massive cage, collapsed, tangled in the seabed. A trap. The beluga turns, her movements slower now. She has been trapped for days, maybe longer. Each time she rises to breathe, the ice above her grows thicker, the cage tighter. Her calves call to her, helpless, while the cold steals the strength from her body. On deck, the wind picks up, scattering snow across the steel. Lena tells the others what she's found. The captain warns her of the risks. Freezing temperatures, unstable ice, a trapped whale that could panic and crush herself against the metal. But Noah doesn't hesitate. He says they dive, that she doesn't have time to wait. There's a silence after his words, the kind that carries weight, the kind that changes people. Lena looks out across the ice, her breath catching in her throat. Somewhere out there, a mother is dying while her children call to her through the dark. She closes her eyes and makes her decision. They dive at first light. The sun never truly rises in the Arctic spring. It lingers below the horizon, cold and ghost-like. In that dim light, a single breath hole steams faintly on the frozen sea, the last fragile link between air and life. Beneath it, the whale waits, weak and still. Her voice fades to a whisper. Above her, 3 humans stand on the edge of the world, preparing to risk everything to bring her home.
People in World War II had nicknames for many weapons. Some were proud, others dark and intimidating. The Americans' heavy machine gun got a few of its own: 50, Marduce, the Deuce, sometimes even Mother of Deuce, meaning the mother of all machine guns. For the soldiers who faced it, the 50 BMG was more than just a weapon. It was a force of nature on the battlefield. In the trenches of World War I, generals learned that small arms were no longer enough. Machine guns were deadly, but they fired the same rifle ammunition as infantrymen. With new armored vehicles, tanks, and aircraft appearing on the battlefield, they needed something with a heavier punch. General John Pershing made a clear request: a new machine gun capable of firing a half-inch round at over 2,700 feet per second. That challenge went to John Moses Browning, America's most brilliant gun designer. He didn't start from scratch. He took his existing, reliable, water-cooled machine gun and scaled it up. The cartridge he created was basically an enlarged .30-06, rimless for smoother feeding and influenced by captured German ammunition. The result was the 50 Browning machine gun cartridge, the 12.7 99mm round we know today. The first versions, known as the M1919 and then the M1921, were heavy, water-cooled weapons designed mainly for anti-aircraft defense. At first, it didn't seem like a promising future. The gun was far too heavy for infantry to carry and had serious recoil. Early aircraft couldn't handle its size and vehicles struggled to mount it. But over time, Browning's team improved it, redesigning the internals, allowing it to feed from either side, and creating a universal receiver that could accept both air and water-cooled barrels. By the late 1930s, the M2 Browning had emerged, refined, reliable, and powerful. When World War II began, it was ready. The M2 could be mounted almost anywhere, on aircraft, on ships, on tanks, or on tripods for ground troops. It became the Americans' all-purpose heavy weapon. On aircraft, lighter barrels and higher cyclic rates made the M2 deadly in short bursts. Planes like the B-17 Flying Fortress carried up to 13 of them. The P-47 Thunderbolt had 8, and the A-26 Invader could carry as many as 18. A single burst of 50 caliber fire could rip through engines, wings, and fuel tanks, devastating enemy aircraft. On the ground, the 50 quickly proved its worth. It could punch through walls, sandbags, and even light armor. It damaged tank optics, tracks, and weak spots, especially from the sides or rear. American vehicles almost always carried one. Jeeps, trucks, half-tracks, and tanks. The sound of a 50 opening up was enough to stop an attack in its tracks. The mechanism behind it was clever. The M2 operates on the short recoil principle. The barrel and bolt move backward together after firing, staying locked until pressure drops. Then the barrel stops. The bolt continues rearward, ejects the case, compresses the recoil spring, and then moves forward again to load the next round. This cycle continues as long as the trigger is held. A brilliant piece of engineering that made it reliable under the harshest conditions. German troops came to fear it deeply. Their standard MG-34 and MG-42 machine guns were fast and accurate, but fired much smaller 7.92mm rounds. The 50 BMG delivered up to 10 times the energy, making cover useless. Brick, concrete, or sandbags couldn't reliably protect you. Even tanks risked damage to optics or tracks under sustained 50 fire. German soldiers quickly learned to attack 50 positions with snipers, mortars, or artillery before attempting to advance. Ammunition for the M2 came in several types: ball, armor-piercing, incendiary, and tracer. Aircraft belts were often mixed. One armor-piercing incendiary tracer for every few standard rounds. These combinations let gunners see where their fire landed and adjust instantly. After the war, specialized rounds appeared, multi-purpose explosive rounds that combined armor-piercing and incendiary effects, and the slap round, or saboted light armor penetrator, which fired a smaller tungsten core at extreme velocity. Some of these were so powerful they mimicked the effects of a 20mm cannon shell. The 50 BMG even found a second life as a sniper round. In Vietnam, legendary sniper Carlos Hathcock fitted a scope to an M2 and used it for extreme long-range single shots, scoring confirmed kills beyond the range of standard rifles. His experiment later inspired the creation of the Barrett M82, the famous anti-material sniper rifle still in use today. The M2's versatility didn't stop there. The Quad 50, 4 M2s mounted together, became one of the most fearsome anti-aircraft and ground defense weapons of the war. With 4 guns firing together, the rate of fire could reach over 2,000 rounds per minute. It tore through aircraft, vehicles, and enemy positions alike, earning a terrifying reputation. The Quad 50 saw continued service in Korea and Vietnam, mounted on trucks to protect convoys from ambushes. But being a 50-gunner was dangerous. The muzzle flash, smoke, and distinctive sound gave away positions instantly. For years, gunners on tanks and vehicles were completely exposed, standing upright with only their weapon in front of them. Many paid the price. Only in later conflicts did armor shields become standard, and eventually remote weapon stations, allowing gunners to operate from inside their vehicles using cameras and joysticks. Even today, the M2 remains in service more than a century after Browning first designed it. The modern version, the M2A1, includes small updates, a quick-change barrel system, flash suppressor, and manual safety, but the heart of the gun is unchanged. The design still works just as it did in the 1920s. Throughout history, few weapons have lasted this long or earned such respect from both sides. The M2 Browning proved that simplicity, reliability, and adaptability can outlive every generation of warfare. From the skies over Europe to the jungles of the Pacific, From the deserts of Iraq to modern armored vehicles, it's still there, still firing the same massive 50 BMG round John, Browning built for a war that ended over 100 years ago. That is the legacy of Mardus, the mother of machine guns, a weapon so powerful, so reliable, and so feared that it has outlasted the very wars that made it famous.